Hey everyone, welcome back to Tales of Reality. Today, we're delving into the dark story of Edmund Kemper, one of America's most infamous serial killers. Kemper was born in Burbank, California, on December 18, 1948. Following his parents' divorce in 1957, he relocated to Montana with his mother and two sisters. Kemper's relationship with his alcoholic mother was challenging, as she constantly criticized him, leading him to hold her responsible for all his troubles. At the age of 10, she compelled him to live in the basement, away from his sisters, out of fear that he might harm them in some way. Early signs of trouble began to surface. Kemper had a disturbing fantasy life, often dreaming about killing his mother. He mutilated his sisters' dolls by decapitating them, and even coerced them into playing a twisted game called Gas Chamber. In this game, he would have them blindfold him and guide him to a chair, where he would pretend to writhe in agony until he died. His first victims were the family cats. At the age of 10, he buried one of them alive and slaughtered the second one with a knife. He briefly lived with his father, but eventually returned to his mother's care. However, she decided to send the troubled teenager to live with his paternal grandparents in North Fork, California. Kemper despised living on his grandparents' farm. Prior to moving to North Fork, he had already begun learning about firearms, but his grandparents confiscated his rifle after he killed several birds and small animals.
It started with surrogates at a non-human level. Physical objects, my possessions, other people's, destruction of things that are cared about, and then destruction of things that are living on a lower level, small animals, insects, animals, and then finally people.
On August 27, 1964, Kemper's pent-up rage finally erupted towards his grandparents. During an argument, the 15-year-old shot his grandmother in the kitchen. When his grandfather arrived home, Kemper went outside, shot him near his car, and concealed the body. Following the incident, he contacted his mother, who advised him to call the police and confess. Kemper later revealed that he shot his grandmother to see what it felt like. He also admitted that he killed his grandfather to spare him the anguish of discovering his wife's murder. As a consequence of his crimes, Kemper was handed over to the California Youth Authority. Extensive assessments revealed that he possessed a remarkably high IQ, but also suffered from a mental disorder. Subsequently, Kemper was sent to Atascadero State Hospital, a highly secure facility designed for mentally ill offenders. In 1969, at the age of 21, Kemper was released. Despite the advice of his prison doctors, who cautioned against living with his mother due to her history of abuse and their complex psychological relationship, he chose to reunite with her in Santa Cruz, California. His mother had relocated there after her third marriage ended, as she had secured a position at the University of California. During his time in Santa Cruz, Kemper briefly attended community college and held various jobs before eventually finding employment with the Department of Transportation in 1971. Although he had aspired to become a state trooper, his physical stature, weighing around 300 pounds and standing at 6 feet 9 inches tall, resulted in his rejection and earned him the nickname Big Ed. Nevertheless, Kemper maintained associations with some of the Santa Cruz police officers. One officer provided him with a training school badge and handcuffs, while another allowed him to borrow a gun, as detailed in the book Whoever Fights Monsters by Robert K. Ressler and Tom Shackman. Additionally, Kemper possessed a car that resembled a police cruiser. In the same year that he started working for the Highway Department, Kemper experienced a tragic incident when he was struck by a car while riding his motorcycle. This accident resulted in a severe injury to his arm, leading him to receive a settlement of $15,000 from the driver through a civil suit. Unable to continue working, Kemper redirected his focus towards other endeavors. He observed a significant number of young women hitchhiking in the vicinity. Utilizing some of the money from his settlement, Kemper purchased a new car and began storing various tools that he believed would aid him in fulfilling his sinister desires. These tools included a gun, a knife, and handcuffs. Initially, Kemper would pick up female hitchhikers and release them unharmed. However, when he offered a ride to two students from Fresno State, Mary Ann Pesci and Anita Lucchesa, they tragically never reached their intended destination. Their families reported them missing shortly thereafter, but their fate remained unknown until August 15th, when a female head was discovered in the Santa Cruz woods. This head was later identified as belonging to Pesci. Unfortunately, Lucchesa's remains were never found. Kemper later confessed to stabbing and strangling Pesci before also stabbing Lucchesa. Following the murders, he transported the bodies to his apartment and proceeded to decapitate and dismember them. Disturbingly, Kemper engaged in sexual acts with their lifeless bodies. Later that same year, on September 14, 1972, Kemper picked up 15-year-old Iko Ku, who had chosen to hitchhike instead of waiting for the bus to her dance class. Tragically, she met the same horrific fate as Pesci and Lucchesa. In January 1973, Kemper continued to act on his homicidal urges by giving a ride to hitchhiker Cindy Schall, whom he callously shot and killed. Taking advantage of his mother's absence, Kemper secretly brought Schall's body back to his home and hid it in his own room. The following day, he proceeded to dismember her remains inside his house and disposed of the different body parts by throwing them into the vast ocean. Some of these dismembered pieces were later found when they washed ashore. Additionally, he went so far as to bury Schall's head in his mother's backyard. On February 5, 1973, Kemper utilized a parking sticker provided by his mother to carry out a double murder on campus. He drove to the university and offered a ride to two students, Rosalind Thorpe and Alice Liu. Shortly after picking them up, he fatally shot the two young women and proceeded to pass through the campus security gates with their injured bodies in his vehicle. Following the murders, Kemper proceeded to decapitate his victims and dismember their bodies. He removed the bullets from their heads and disposed of their remains in various locations. In March, hikers discovered some of Thorpe's and Liu's remains near Highway 1 in San Mateo County. In April 1973, Kemper committed his final two murders. On a Friday, he visited his mother's home and engaged in a contentious exchange with her. After she fell asleep, Kemper attacked his mother by striking her head with a hammer and then cutting her throat with a knife. Similar to his previous victims, he decapitated her and severed her hands. However, he also removed her larynx and disposed of it in the garbage disposal.
I knew a week before she died I was going to kill her. And she went out to a party, she got soused, she came home, went to sleep. I was woken up by that, came out. I walked up to her bed. She's laying there reading a paperback, as many thousands of nights before. And she said, "Oh, I suppose you're going to want to sit up all night and talk now." Shit. And I looked at her, I said, "No." I said, "Good night." And I knew I was going to kill her. I cut off her head, and I humiliated her corpse. I said, "There, you know, a 6 young woman dead because of the way she raises her son and the way her son is raised, the way he grows up."
Following the concealment of his mother's dismembered body, Kemper contacted Sally Hallett, a friend of his mother's, and extended an invitation for her to visit his residence. Shortly after her arrival, Kemper proceeded to strangle Hallett and concealed her remains within a closet. The subsequent day, Kemper fled the vicinity, driving towards the east until he reached Pueblo, Colorado. On April 23rd, he contacted the Santa Cruz police to confess his heinous acts. Initially, the authorities were skeptical that the individual they knew as Big Ed could be a murderer. However, through subsequent interrogations, Kemper guided them to the necessary evidence, solidifying his identity as the notorious co-ed killer. In October 1973, Kemper faced trial for his crimes, charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder. In early November, he was pronounced guilty on all charges. When questioned by the judge regarding his desired punishment, Kemper expressed a preference for being subjected to torturous death. However, he was ultimately sentenced to 8 concurrent life terms. Presently, Kemper is serving his sentence at the California Medical Facility in Vacaville.
So I rationalized that to give up would be insane. To give up would be crazy. I'd be giving away my freedom, and I don't need to. But I look back on that and wish I had earlier, when I was saying those things to myself. The people who were later dead wouldn't be. The regret that came later would have not had to be. Those people, not things, those people would still be with their families, with their loved ones. They would have their own families if I had had the courage to make that decision.
Thanks for joining us on this dark journey into the life of Edmund Kemper. If you found this video intriguing, give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe for more content. Comment below with the true crime case you'd like us to cover next. Stay safe, and until next time,